The screams beneath the train bridge. The night was cold, and the wind was sharp. Alex had just finished his late shift at the factory. His backpack hung over one shoulder, and his boots crunched on the gravel path as he took a shortcut under the old train bridge. He had walked this path many times. It was quiet, dark, and usually empty. But tonight, something was different. As he neared the bridge, he stopped. He heard something. Soft at first, almost like a whisper carried by the wind, then again, louder. A cry. No, more like a scream. It echoed from below the tracks. Alex frowned. He looked around. No one else was there, just empty road and the sound of distant traffic. Another scream came, this time mixed with fear, and something else, desperation. He hesitated. It was late. He was tired, but the sound tugged at his chest. He stepped toward the edge and looked down. Below the bridge was a steep drop, a dark pit of weeds, broken stones, and rusted rails that hadn't been used in years. But right near the newer train tracks he saw movement. 2 figures, small, shaking, bound in chains. His heart slammed in his chest. "Hey!" he shouted. "Are you okay?" One of the figures looked up. Even in the dim light, Alex saw her face. And it wasn't human. Her skin had a soft blue glow. Her eyes were too large, too bright. Alien. She said something, a broken word that sounded like, "Help." The other figure lay still, half covered in dirt. One arm twisted behind her. She wasn't moving. Without thinking, Alex slid down the slope, rocks scratching his hands. He nearly tripped as he reached the bottom. The closer he got, the clearer the picture became. The 2 alien girls were young, maybe teenagers in their own race. Their clothes were torn, faces bruised, and thick metal cuffs locked around their ankles, pinning them to the old tracks. One girl reached toward him, her arm trembling. "Please." Alex dropped his bag and pulled at the chains. "Who did this to you?" She only shook her head and looked past him, with panic in her eyes. A sound rose in the distance, a train horn. His head whipped up, the active rail above. Them ran directly past the old abandoned tracks. If the chains held tight, and if the new train shook the ground enough, the old rails might collapse, or shift. Or worse. He had minutes. No, no, no. Hang on. He growled. The chains were thick, too strong to break by hand. He looked around, eyes desperate. He spotted a long rusted iron rod lying near an old toolbox. He grabbed it and jammed it into the chain's lock, pushing with all his strength. The girl beside him cried out, She not wake. Help her." Alex's hands bled from gripping the rod, but the lock groaned and finally snapped. He caught the conscious girl as she nearly collapsed in his arms. He didn't have time to comfort her. He ran to the second girl. Her face was pale, her lips slightly open. Was she breathing? Alex placed his hand on her chest. Yes, very faintly. He stabbed at the second lock. The ground began to shake. He heard the screech of metal as the train thundered closer, now just 100 yards away. With a loud clang, the lock gave way. He scooped her up in his arms, turned, and ran up the slope. His feet slipped on loose rocks. The first girl followed, stumbling, crying out in pain, but she moved. As Alex reached the top, the train roared past. Wind, dust, and sound exploded around them. They collapsed together behind a concrete wall, hearts pounding, lungs burning. The train screamed into the distance, went gone. For a moment, no one moved. Then the girl beside him turned slowly. Her eyes, those bright alien eyes, were full of tears. She touched his hand. You save us," she whispered in broken English. Alex nodded slowly, still catching his breath. "Yeah, I did." The other girl was still out cold in his arms, but she stirred slightly, letting out a soft breath. He looked at the two of them. Strange, hurt, alone. What had he just gotten himself into? And why, deep in his gut, did he feel like someone was watching them from the shadows? Alex carried the unconscious alien girl in his arms, her body limp and cold against his chest. The other girl followed closely, limping, barely able to walk. Her blue skin had cuts along her arms and neck, and her feet were bleeding from the rough stones. She didn't speak much, only held tightly to his jacket like a scared child. The walk back to his small apartment felt longer than ever. Every step he looked over his shoulder, half expecting someone or something to appear from the darkness. The memory of those chains, those bruises, and the terror in the girl's eyes haunted him. Who would do something like that? By the time they reached his apartment, the night had fallen deeper. The building was quiet, and he was thankful no one saw him bringing two alien girls inside. He didn't need questions right now. He needed answers. But first, they needed care. Gently placed the unconscious girl on his couch. She didn't wake, but her chest rose and fell. Alive, just barely. The other girl stood silently by the door, eyes scanning every corner of the room, her hands shaking. "It's okay," Alex said softly. "You're safe now." She flinched at his voice. Then, slowly, she nodded. Alex brought a first aid kit and started cleaning her wounds. She hissed as the alcohol touched her skin but didn't pull away. Her body was thin, too thin, and her skin had odd patterns on it, like glowing veins just beneath the surface. "What's your name?" he asked. She looked at him, confused. Then she touched her chest. "Neri," she said. "Neri." "Okay." He pointed to the girl on the couch. "And her?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Sela." "All right, Neri and Sela. I'm Alex." She gave a small nod. "Alex." She repeated it quietly, almost like it was a word she wanted to remember. Alex warmed up soup from a can. He wasn't sure if their kind could eat human food, but he had to try. He handed Neri a bowl. She sniffed, at first, then took a slow sip. Her eyes lit up. "Good," she said, voice still weak. As she ate, Alex looked closely at the glowing lines on her arms. They weren't just veins. They were symbols. Like tattoos, but they pulsed faintly with light. Especially when she was scared. "What are those?" he asked, pointing. Neri looked down quickly and pulled her sleeves over her arms. "Bad," she said. "Hurt us. For tracking." Alex froze. "You mean someone's tracking you?" She nodded slowly. "Hunt. Us." His blood ran cold. He walked to the window and pulled the curtain tight. "Who? Who's hunting you?" She didn't answer. She just whispered, "He come. Always come." Alex turned back to see her eyes wide in fear. He suddenly felt like he wasn't alone in his own apartment, that someone might already be close. He sat down beside the sleeping Sela. Her face was calm now, but the bruises across her neck told stories she couldn't speak. She was younger than Neri, maybe a sister or close friend. Alex gently wrapped a blanket around her. "You don't have to worry now," he said quietly. "I'll protect you." The words felt heavy. What was he saying? He was just a factory worker, living alone, trying to survive. He wasn't a hero. But then again, maybe, no one else would have saved them. Neri finished her soup and curled up on the floor near the couch. She didn't ask for a bed. She didn't ask for anything. She just wanted to feel hidden, like a frightened animal that had been hurt too many times. Alex couldn't sleep. He stayed up, sitting by the window, holding a metal pipe in one hand. Every small noise outside made him tense. He didn't know what kind of monster had chased these girls across space or countries, but he knew the fear in their eyes was real. Hours passed. Around 3 a.m, Neri woke with a scream. Alex jumped to his feet. "Shh," he whispered, rushing over. "It's okay, you're safe." She clutched his arm tightly, breathing fast. "I feel—" "What do you mean you feel him?" She pointed to the glowing lines on her skin. They were brighter now, like soft fire under her skin. "Mark, burn when near." Alex's heart pounded. Someone was close. He turned off the lights, grabbed his phone, and slowly looked out the window. The street was empty. But then he saw something. A tall shadow standing still near a street lamp. No movement, no face, just stillness. Alex backed away. Neri stared at him with wide eyes. "He find us." Sela, still sleeping, stirred in her sleep and whispered something in her language. Neri rushed to her side, holding her hand. Alex locked the windows and doors. Whatever was coming, it wasn't finished. But this time the girls were not alone, and this time the human would fight. The next morning arrived, but it brought no comfort. The sky was dull and gray, and the air felt heavy, like a warning no one could read. Alex didn't sleep that night. His eyes were tired, but his mind stayed sharp, watching every shadow outside. The window. That tall figure from the night before. It never moved. It just stood near the street lamp for hours, like it was waiting. Or watching. When Alex blinked again, the figure was gone. He wasn't sure when it left. But the burning lines on Neri's arms had started fading by sunrise. That was the only sign it was no longer close. Inside the apartment, a strange calm fell over everything. The kind of silence that made your ears ring. Neri sat near the couch, quietly braiding Sela's long silver hair. Sela had finally woken, but she didn't speak. She only looked around with wide, blank eyes and flinched if Alex moved too quickly. Alex sat nearby, sipping cold coffee. His hands were still shaking a little. He didn't want to scare them, but he had questions. So many questions. He tried again. "Neri, can you tell me what those marks on your arms really mean?" Neri looked down, brushing her fingers across the glowing tattoos. They flickered, as if alive. "Old bond," she said slowly. "Made for soldiers, owners. Give them to us. Control. Pain." Alex frowned. "They hurt you through these?" She nodded. "Pain, shock, even death, if wanted, but..." She touched her arm again. "These broken now. Half power. Still feel him. When near." Alex swallowed. "The one who chased you? The man outside?" Her eyes met his. "Not man. Machine. Once, our protector. Then, sold us." That word stuck in Alex's ears. Sold. He looked at Sela. Her face was peaceful now, but her arms had the same marks. Same glowing lines that looked like chains drawn under the skin. What kind of world had they come from? A place where protectors turned into hunters? Where innocent girls were sold and marked like animals? Neri continued, her voice low. "He hunt us. No stop, no sleep. He only need command. Last master gave. It, return property or erase. He follow that forever." "But you're not property," Alex said, standing. "You're people." Neri looked up at him like she wasn't sure if she believed it. Alex paced the room. "You two can't stay here forever. I work in a factory, I barely pay rent, but I can hide you for now. Just need to think." He opened his laptop. Maybe someone online could help. Secret forums, strange sightings, alien talk. But Neri's soft voice stopped him. "No net," she whispered quickly. "He tracks signal. Your house. Burn if net used." Alex froze. Slowly he closed the laptop so they were cut off from help. He sighed. "Okay, we won't use the internet, but we'll find another way." Sela suddenly coughed and Neri rushed to help her sit. Alex noticed her skin. It looked dry, cracked. He quickly brought her water. Sela drank with shaking hands, but she gave him a soft look after. She whispered something in her language and Neri translated. She say, "Thank you. We thought death was last." Alex gave a small smile. "Well, it wasn't. You're here now." The girls stayed close, together all day. Neri cleaned Sela's arms with soft cloth. Alex brought some warm soup again. Slowly the color returned to Sela's cheeks, and she even tried to smile. but she didn't speak English. Not yet. As the day passed, Alex noticed something else. The tattoos glowed brighter when they were together. When Neri touched Sela's arm, both of their marks pulsed in rhythm, soft blue light like a heartbeat. "What is that?" he asked. Neri tilted her head. "We linked. Sisters by bond, not blood. Old ritual means feel each other, share strength, pain too." That explained the panic when Sela was unconscious. Neri must have felt every wound, every shock. Alex stepped back. "So if one of you is hurt," Neri finished the sentence, "the other feels." A chill ran down his back. Later that night, while the girls rested, Alex checked the front door locks again. He reinforced the windows with heavy bookshelves. His heart told him the danger wasn't over. He hadn't seen that shadow again, but he knew it was out there. He turned off the lights and sat on the floor near the couch. Sela was asleep, head resting on Neri's lap. Neri looked at him and asked softly, "Why help?" Alex didn't answer right away. He stared at the dark ceiling and thought about it. "I don't know," he said finally. "Maybe because no one else did." Neri looked down, her voice shaking. "On our world, kindness is weakness." "Then maybe your world needs to learn from mine," he said, though he wasn't sure Earth was much better. Neri's marks glowed again, just a little, not in fear, but in peace. And for the first time since they met, she smiled. That night, the silence felt heavier than usual. The city outside Alex's window was asleep, but inside his apartment, tension grew like a storm cloud. The two alien girls, Neri and Sela, had barely spoken for hours. They stayed close to each other, whispering, in their strange tongue, eyes filled with worry. Alex didn't push them. He knew something was wrong, but he didn't expect what would happen next. At midnight, Alex finally fell asleep on the floor near the couch, a blanket covering him and a pipe gripped loosely in one hand. He had promised himself he'd stay awake, but exhaustion finally won. His last thought before sleep came was of those glowing tattoos and the shadow near the street lamp. He woke up to cold air on his face. The front door was wide open. Alex sat up fast, heart pounding. "Neri? Sela?" No answer. He stood rushing outside barefoot. The street was empty. No wind, no sound. He turned, back into the apartment. Their shoes were gone. A half-finished soup bowl sat on the table. His blanket had been carefully folded. They didn't run in panic. They chose to leave. But why? Alex grabbed his jacket and followed the trail. Faint, prints led toward the abandoned buildings near the rail yard, the same direction he had found them days ago. His chest tightened with every step. Something was wrong. Why would they leave in the middle of the night without warning? Then he saw it. A flash of blue light behind a rusted fence. A figure moving, fast. Alex ducked low and moved quietly through the old alleys. He reached the edge of a broken wall and peeked around. There they were, Neri and Sela, standing in the middle of the old train yard. Their arms were glowing brighter than ever, and both looked up at the stars like they were saying goodbye. Neri turned to Sela and held her tightly, whispering something in her ear. Alex stepped forward. "What are you doing?" Neri turned in. Shock. Her face was pale with fear. You follow." "Of course I did. Why did you run?" She shook her head. "No safe. For you. He follow us. He want you dead too now." "You think I care?" Alex shouted, his voice echoing in the yard. "You're not alone anymore." Suddenly a strange metallic sound echoed nearby, like gears grinding. Then, a voice. Cold. Empty. Not human. "Return." "Subjects," Sela screamed and clutched Neri's hand. The glowing lines on their arms flared bright blue, reacting to the presence. From the shadows, a tall figure emerged. At first, Alex thought it was a man, but as it moved into the moonlight, he saw the truth. Its body was black metal, smooth and without seams. Its head was round, no face, just a single red eye glowing at the center. Sharp claws extended from its fingers. It moved without sound. Neri backed up. "He found us." The machine pointed at them. "Slaves. Do not resist." Alex stepped in front of the girls without thinking. "They're not slaves." The robot paused, almost confused. "You are not recognized. Remove yourself." Alex didn't move. "You'll have to go through me." For a moment, the air froze. The machine tilted its head. Then it raised its arm, and a weapon unfolded from within. Before it could fire, the tattoos on Neri's and Selah's arms burst with light. A wave of energy pushed outward like a shockwave, knocking the machine back several feet. It slid across the gravel, sparks flying. The sisters held hands tighter, their eyes glowing now too. Alex stared in shock. What was that?" Neri cried out. "Bond power, but not last long. We must go." Selah pointed toward an old tunnel near the edge of the train yard. Alex grabbed their hands and ran. The metal hunter stood up slowly, its eye glowing brighter now, scanning their movement. As they ran into the tunnel, Alex heard the machine's voice again. Louder, angry, targets, escaping, adaptive response, initiated. Inside the tunnel, darkness swallowed them. They didn't stop running until they reached a door, rusted, half-broken. Alex pushed it open. Inside was a forgotten service room, dusty, full of old crates, but safe for now. They collapsed inside, breathing hard. Alex turned to them. "You were trying to protect me, weren't you?" Neri nodded slowly. "We thought if we leave, he..." "Stop. But he saw you. He marked you too now." Alex leaned back against the wall. "Then I guess I don't have a choice anymore. You're stuck with me." Selah smiled weakly, wiping tears from her eyes. "Together is better." Neri looked at Alex for a long time. "We run again, but not alone." Outside, the wind howled through the tunnel like a warning. The hunter had failed tonight, but it would return, and next time it would come stronger. The old service room was dark, lit only by the soft blue glow from Neri and Selah's tattoos. Dust floated through the air, and the silence felt thicker than before. Alex sat on an overturned crate, his head in his hands, trying to breathe. His heart still raced from what happened at the train yard. That machine, that monster, it was no normal bounty hunter. It was something built for one purpose: capture or kill. Across from him, Selah lay curled up under a blanket made of Alex's jacket. Her eyes were closed, but her hands still trembled in her sleep. Neri sat beside her, rubbing her back gently, whispering in their alien language, soft, warm words. That language, Alex didn't know it. And yet, something about it made sense. It wasn't the words. It was the feeling. He couldn't explain it, but the sounds weren't just noise anymore. They reached into his mind like music with hidden meaning. He stared at the sisters. "Neri, what are you saying to her?" Neri looked at him surprised. "You here?" "I don't understand it," Alex said, "but I feel like I almost can, like I should know it." She moved closer, her eyes serious. "You should not. Only bonded hear true words." Alex frowned. "Bonded?" Neri nodded slowly. "When someone shares pain, saves life, gives safety, a bond forms. In our kind, bond lets hearts speak without words, but only between us." She looked at him deeply. "No human should feel bond, but you do." Alex was silent. He didn't feel like a hero. He had no powers, no weapons. He was just a guy who couldn't walk away when someone cried for help. Was that enough to form something this strong? Neri continued. "Maybe when you pull chain, when you take us from death, Bond begin. Alex shook his head. But I'm not like you. I'm not even from your world. She touched her chest. Bond not care. He looked down at his hands, rough, scraped, dirty from running and fighting. He never imagined touching alien technology or understanding otherworldly speech. But now, here he was, talking to an alien girl in a dusty tunnel. And something inside him had changed. Sela stirred and sat up slowly. Her eyes were clearer now, though fear still lingered. She looked at Alex, then spoke softly. The words were foreign, but he understood them. You didn't leave. Alex blinked. I heard that. Neri's eyes widened. You hear her? I did, Alex whispered. She said I didn't leave. Sela looked between them, confused. He speak our words? No, Neri said softly. He feel them. Alex stood pacing. This makes no sense. I'm not supposed to know your language. Neri replied. But Bond does not ask. It gives what is needed. He sat back down, heart racing again, this time not from fear, but from something deeper. The connection between them was growing stronger. He wasn't just their rescuer now. Something tied them together, something beyond logic. What else can this bond do? He asked. Neri hesitated. Some say bond is path. If it grows, it shares memory, feeling, even thoughts. Alex looked at her. So I'll know what you've been through? Neri lowered her gaze. If it happens, yes, you may feel what we saw, what we suffered. He nodded slowly. Maybe that's fair. You've seen enough alone. Outside, the wind picked up, howling through cracks in the tunnel wall. Alex stood, pulling the jacket tighter around Sela. Then he heard something, a voice. But it wasn't outside. It was in his head. A whisper. A cry. A scream in a tongue not his own, but one he somehow understood. He gasped and gripped the wall for support. What was that? Neri rushed to him. What did you hear? He looked at her, eyes wide. I heard someone screaming for help. A child. A name. Sela's name. Neri's face turned pale. That memory is not yours. That night, she cried when taken. I was far. I could not help. Alex blinked. So I heard her memory. The bond was working faster than any of them expected. He wasn't just feeling the present. He was beginning to relive their past. Sela moved to him slowly, her small hand reaching out. It hurts, but not alone now. Alex took her hand. It was warm, soft, alive. I won't let you be alone, he said gently. Not now, not ever. For a moment, the darkness in the room felt less heavy. Then Neri whispered, We must move again. Already? Alex asked. She nodded. He returns. He learns from every failure. Next time, he bring more than pain. Alex looked at both girls, tired, weak, but brave. Then we stay ahead of him, he said firmly. We survive together. Sela smiled faintly. Neri did too. As the wind outside roared louder, they packed what little they had and prepared to leave again. The bond had started something new, something dangerous, yes, but something powerful too. They weren't running anymore. They were moving forward. Together. The sun was just rising when Alex, Neri, and Sela reached the edge of the old industrial zone. Rows of broken windows and rusted metal beams stretched across the skyline like forgotten skeletons. The air smelled of oil, dust, and silence. This place had once been full of life. Now it was perfect for hiding. But not for long. Alex led the way inside the largest building, a factory where machines had long stopped working. He pushed open a side door, its hinges crying out, and helped the sisters inside. Neri clutched her side, weak from too much running. Sela followed, holding her hand tightly. They passed giant machines covered in thick cobwebs. Sunlight leaked in through the roof holes, painting golden stripes across the ground. In a corner near the back, they found a storage room with old crates and dusty rags. It wasn't much, but it was enough for a few hours of rest. Alex pulled down a crate and sat with his back to the wall. "We'll stay here, just until night." Neri nodded, but her eyes didn't relax. "He's close." Alex looked at her tattoos. They were glowing again, brighter than ever. "He knows we're here?" he asked. "Not yet," Neri said, "but soon." Sela sat beside her sister, shaking. Her skin shimmered slightly, reacting to the bond. Alex noticed the pulse in both girls' arms was in sync, glowing like twin heartbeats. Then came the sound, a low hum, steady, mechanical, growing louder. Alex stood. "He's here." They had no time. Neri looked at him, eyes locked. "We fight now or die." "I'm not letting him take you," Alex said. "Not while I'm breathing." The metal hunter entered through the front gate, no attempt to hide this time. It moved with confidence, tall and terrifying, its red eye glowing like fire. Behind it, strange machines floated, drones with spinning blades and blinking lights. Alex looked around the room. His eyes landed on old tools, rusted pipes, even a fuel drum in the corner. He had an idea, crazy, dangerous, but maybe enough. "Neri," he said, "can your tattoos still shock?" "Only close," she said. "Good," Alex replied. "Then, let it get close." He grabbed a long pipe and ran straight toward the metal hunter. "Target acquired," the machine roared. Alex swung the pipe hard, striking the machine's side. Sparks flew, but it barely reacted. A drone zipped past him, slicing the air, but missed. "Now!" Alex shouted. Neri and Sela moved fast, their marks glowing like stars. Neri placed her hand on the ground. The glow spread across the floor in cracks of light, toward the machine's feet. It stepped forward and froze. Error. Energy surge detected. Alex dived behind a crate. "Now, Sela!" The younger girl screamed, and the light burst from her hands, meeting the path Neri created. It slammed into the machine's leg. Sparks exploded. The hunter stumbled, unbalanced. Alex rushed forward with a heavy wrench and swung at its head. Metal dented. The red eye flickered, but it wasn't down yet. "You cannot win," it said, voice sharp like knives. The drones whirled around. One hit Alex in the back, sending him crashing into a pile of crates. He groaned, trying to breathe. The machine turned toward the girls. "Property must return." Sela crawled toward her sister. "Neri." Neri stood slowly, eyes glowing. "We are not property." With the last of her strength, she grabbed a metal rod, charged it with the glow from her arms, and threw it like a spear. The rod struck the fuel drum behind the hunter. Boom! Flames erupted, heat flooding the room. The explosion knocked the machine off balance. Its body smashed into a support beam. Metal bent. Sparks flew everywhere. Alex coughed through the smoke. His ears rang, but he could still see. The hunter was damaged, its legs twisted, its eye dim, but not destroyed. It tried to crawl forward, sparks spilling from its back. Then Sela stepped in front of it. She looked into the flickering eye and spoke softly. "Goodbye." Her tattoos pulsed one last time, and she reached out with her hand. The machine froze. A bright wave of light burst from her palm. The red eye dimmed, flickered, then went out. The hunter collapsed with a loud clang, lifeless at last. Silence returned. Neri rushed to her sister. Both girls fell to their knees, exhausted. Alex crawled over, arms shaking, and pulled them both into a hug. "It's over," he said, though he wasn't sure. Neri leaned on his shoulder. "No, it just began. We are free, but hunted still." Alex looked at them. These two alien girls who had become part of his life, part of his bond. Then let them come, he whispered. They'll find we don't run anymore. Outside, the smoke rose from the factory ruins. The first real battle had been won, but freedom had a price, and they were ready to pay it, together. The fire had died down by morning. Smoke still drifted through the broken windows of the factory, but the danger was gone. The metal hunter's body lay in pieces near the blackened fuel drum, sparks long stopped. Its red eye no longer glowed. It would never rise again. Alex sat with his back against a wall, bandages wrapped around his arm and ribs. He was sore all over. Every muscle ached. But he was alive. So were they. Neri sat beside him, quiet, calm, her face finally free from the fear that had haunted her eyes for days. Selah rested against her sister's lap, curled up like a child who had finally escaped a nightmare. The air was still. The kind of stillness that came after something terrible had passed. Not peace exactly, but the space where peace might finally begin. Alex glanced at the sisters. You should leave the city. You'll be safer far from here. I can help you. Get somewhere quiet. Neri didn't look at him, she only said no. He blinked. No? We don't leave, she said softly. Alex sat up straighter. You don't have to stay. I don't want you to feel trapped again. Selah opened her eyes, sleepy but aware. We're not trapped. You freed us. But now you can go wherever you want, Alex said. You're not chained anymore. Neri finally turned to look at him. Her voice was calm but firm. We know, and we choose to stay. He stared at her. Why? She reached out and gently touched the side of his head just above his ear. Because this bond, it's real. It saved us. Selah sat up slowly and moved closer. Home is not where we came from. It's where we were saved. Alex felt a lump rise in his throat. These girls, hunted and hurt, had been through more than most could survive. And now, even with freedom in their hands, they didn't want to run anymore. They wanted to belong. To him, he wasn't ready for the weight of that. I'm not special, he said. I'm just a man who couldn't walk away. Neri smiled. That is why you are special. He looked down at his scraped hands, his torn clothes. He had no home big enough for them, no money, no power, just his heart and the bond they somehow shared. Selah leaned against his shoulder. We stay, we learn, we help you now. Alex gave a small laugh, shaking his head. You're saying I saved you? Now you're going to fix my life? Both girls smiled. For the first time, Alex felt the quiet warmth of something more than just survival. This wasn't just about running anymore, it was about starting something new. Something that didn't come from fear, but from choice, from trust. Later that day, they left the ruined factory behind. Alex found an old friend, a quiet man who owed him favors, and got access to a hidden cabin in the hills outside the city. It was small and dusty, but it had a roof, clean water, and peace. Neri helped repair the broken door with tools she'd never seen before, using sharp thinking and fast hands. Selah explored the woods around the cabin, collecting leaves and strange berries, her laughter like wind chimes in the trees. The girls adjusted quickly, learning to cook, learning to wear human clothes, learning to live freely. Alex watched them grow stronger every day. Sometimes he would wake up and hear them whispering in their own language, glowing tattoos softly pulsing in the dark. The bond was still alive between them, but slowly, it had begun to include him too. One night Neri sat with him under the stars. Selah had already gone to sleep. Neri looked at the sky. We used to dream of stars, but now I dream of this. This? Alex asked. She nodded. Firelight, wind, safety, you. He didn't answer at first. His heart was too full. Then he quietly said, You could have had 1,000 stars. Why settle for a cabin in the hills? She looked at him and smiled. Because no star ever held my hand and said, You're safe now. He looked away, blinking fast. Neri leaned her head on his shoulder. We don't belong to anyone now. We belong with you. Alex closed his eyes. He thought of the night. He first heard the screams, the moment he chose to go down that slope, the metal chains, the running, the fire, the fear, and now, this. This was the reward. Not glory, not riches, but 2 lives that had once been forgotten, now filled with purpose, trust, and peace. He wrapped his arm around Neri, gently pulling her closer. Then stay, he whispered. Stay as long as you want. And she did. They both did. Not because they had to, because they chose to, together, forever.